What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we're going to be looking at another new battle card from Wave 2 of the Transformers trading card game, Rise of the Combiners. Now, our spoiler today was brought to you by the lovely folks over at TFW. That is a very nice podcast indeed, one to which I am subscribed, and you should be too. I will pop a link to their video or podcast in the description, so do make sure you check them out. We want to support the people who are spoiling these cards, showing them to us, so please make sure you go and give them a little bit of love. And what we have today is an extremely good card if you're defensively minded, which of course from the name Evasive Maneuvers, maybe you should have been able to guess. It has a blue pip. Now blue pip is good because if you want to be defending, you want the blue pips. And it actually gives you tough free. That means that when you are defending, you flip 3 extra battle cards. Now, tough will stack, but if you don't have anything else in there, you are flipping over 5 battle cards rather than 2. That's pretty gosh darn good. Now, it is an upgrade, and it is an armor, which you kind of would expect. But this is one of those cards I really like where the whole card is in sync. You've got a blue pip, because you want to be defending, and you've got tough free, because you want to be defending. And we don't usually get this. Look at something like Energon Axe, which is great for attacking, and it gives you Pierce, but it's got a blue icon, which you don't want in an aggro deck. So there's got to be a catch here, and there is. After the upgraded character defends, scrap this card. It is very, very much like Grenade Launcher, which gives you +4 attack. Now that is attack, not bold, but this is tough, not defense. And once you attack, you scrap it. But of course, we do have a very similar thing here, of course. We have Blast Shield. And ladies and gentlemen, Blast Shield is really, really good. It gives you +2 defense. Now I know that's +2, whereas Grenade Launch gives you +4, but do please remember that the average attack is 4 and the average defense is 2. So that does work. And it's got a blue pip, but you scrap it after you defend. This is very much in line with that, except it gives you tough free rather than giving you +2 defense. And quite frankly, right off the bat, I prefer this to Blast Shield. Now, it does depend on what you're doing. So if you are playing full defense and you are going lots of blue pips, then I think you want to go Evasive Maneuver. Because first of all, it's tough free, but tough free a lot of the time ends up being better than just +3 defense, because you've got your white icons in there, in something like Force Field, which let you flip an extra 2 cards the first time you hit a white icon. And of course, there are cards with the double blue icons, things like Security Checkpoint. So there is every possibility that tough free ends up netting you more than 3 extra defense, whereas +3 defense is always, shockingly enough, +3 defense. And look, if we put this side by side with Blast Shield, it's tough free rather than +2 defense. They've both got a blue pip, and they both scrap after you defend. The exception here is where you're not going full defense. If what you're actually doing is trying to make more of a mixed deck, where you've got a mixture of blue and orange pips, then Blast Shield is probably preferable. Because if you're going full blue with all the double pips and everything, tough free is going to be great. But if you're going for a mixture of blue and orange, there's every possibility that you go tough free and you only hit 1 blue pip or maybe 0, in which case Blast Shield is the better option. And this really is a card that we need to put side by side with Blast Shield and go, right, they're both armor upgrades. They've both got a blue pip. They both help us while defending. And it really is, if you're going full defense with blue pips, go Evasive Maneuver. If you're going a little bit more even on the pips, maybe Blast Shield is better. But just to be clear, tough free is absolutely great. Now, we do actually have a card at the moment which will give you tough free. It's body armor, but there are a couple of catches. Firstly, it's got an orange pip, great for mixed decks, bad for full defense. And secondly, it can only be put onto melee characters. So there's a whole bunch of melee characters where you're like, yay! But then there's a whole bunch of of melee characters which aren't. One of the characters I am a huge fan of, which is likely to be played in a more defensive deck, is the common Megatron from Wave 1 Decepticon Leader. And the problem with that is that in bot mode you're ranged, and in ult mode you're ranged. So if you want to go using body armor on Megatron, you can't, ladies and gentlemen. You can't. And that's just one example, right? There's a million different examples out there of different characters that would want to use armor that aren't melee characters. So that's a slight bit of a problem. And if you're not a melee character, it's not looking great. We've got combat training, which gives you tough 1, but only if you've already got an armor attached, although it will also give you bold 1 if you've got a weapon attached, so that is actually pretty gosh darn nice that you can get both of those things going at the same time. And the white icon, yeah, that doesn't hurt. We've got Improvised Shield that gives you tough 1, but it also gives you double orange pips, not great if you're going full defense. And then we've got Reinforced Plating, which just goes ahead and gives you tough 2. And if you want just a straight, flat, tough, this is what you're going for. And this is another card that we could put side by side with Evasive Maneuvers and go, right, which one do you prefer? And let's be clear about this. Tough 3 is significantly better than tough 2. They've both got a blue icon, and they both give extra tough. The question is, do you want tough 2 all the time, or do you want tough 3 just for one turn? And it really depends what kind of deck you're playing. Now, if your opponent's playing a whole bunch of stuff like ramming speed that can get rid of your upgrades, then yeah, it doesn't really matter and you want to go full into Evasive Maneuvers. But there is something to be said for just knowing that you've got that tough 2 for the entire game, and it can be a little bit sad if it goes away and then your opponent just punishes you because you've essentially used it a bit too easy. Now, in terms of characters that can give you tough, we only actually have one that can give other characters tough, and that is Flame War Veteran Decepticon. In ult mode, it will give all of your characters tough 1. Although the really good thing about this is, it is when it's in ult mode, not when it flips to ult mode. So you can leave it there and you get tough 1 for the entirety of the time. I say ult mode, I mean bot mode. I put the right picture on the screen. We're okay, ladies and gentlemen. We're okay. Although if you do flip it to ult mode, you do get bold 1 for all of your characters, but only for that turn. So essentially, it's a very good card, but there is an argument for playing Blast Shield, because if you're going a mixture of icons, the straight defense is probably better than tough. And there is an argument for going Reinforced Plating, because it only gives you tough 2 rather than tough 3, but it stays on there the whole time. The thing is, there are certain characters that we can look at that really don't mind about this. So if you're going tanks, Hunker Down works amazingly with this. Hunker Down lets you flip all of your characters into tank mode, assuming they of course have a tank mode, and then you get to grab an armor from the scrap pile onto them. And what's amazing about that is, if you've got 3 tanks and you've got 3 evasive maneuver in the scrap pile, you can play Hunker Down and then just get all 3 of them back right away, and you can essentially keep doing this, which is really quite redonkulous. So Hunker Down is a great option here. But we've got the Megatron that I showed you the other day. That being Megatron Arrogant Leader. When you flip it into ult mode, you can just play an extra upgrade, which is really nice because it's going to get things like this on you much more quickly. Plus, when you're in bot mode, you can scrap an upgrade from your hand and then draw 2 cards, which means you're going to cycle through your deck a little bit faster, meaning that firstly, you're going to draw into evasive maneuvers more quickly, and secondly, you're going to cycle through your deck that little bit faster. And if you cycle through your deck a little bit faster, then you're going to be able to get all of your cards back. But how about Jetfire Air Guardian? When you flip it into bot mode, put an armor or utility from your scrap pile onto this character. So that can get these things back very, very quickly indeed, which means if you're playing Jetfire, you can absolutely just cycle these. Of course, with Jetfire, you can also cycle Force Field, so I leave it up to you to make that particular decision. When we talk about Grenade Launcher, it's because there really isn't very much that we've got that we could use instead. Now, we do now have coming in Wave 2 Reckless Charge that was shown by the lovely dudes at Wreck and Rule. Still don't think that's a coincidence. That gives you +4 attack, and then you take 3 damage. But really here, there's not a different upgrade you would want to play instead of Grenade Launcher. Whereas as much as I like Evasive Maneuver, and as many advantages as it has over other cards, and I do, and it does, I still look at it and go, well, in some decks, I'm going to be playing Blast Shield, and in some decks, I'm going to be playing Reinforced Plating. But I certainly think that tank decks with stuff like Hunker Down, or any deck playing Jetfire, really is going to love this. And really, any deck that's trying to go full tough and full defense, this has got to be a big consideration in your deck. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a stage in a video where I would very much like to know what you think about this card. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! But please do remember the most important thing as always, be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about Transformers and other things. But by far the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.